Hey, welcome to Endorian Guitar Works Backstage.
And during Guitar Works Backstage.
This is a guided look at life, experiences, and the ways and means of a guitarist's journey. Today is
Hot as fuck.
it's like Matt was saying earlier on when boosting for the show. It's not quite 98 degrees, but it definitely sucks.
We're the backstage boys where it's 98 degrees and everything sucks.
That's a boy band joke.
Half the radio stations of the 90s. But we're not here to judge.
Yeah, I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
Curly hair and the like.
We are going to take a nice, easy show today.
Yeah.
We were boosting for having a guest on this show, and that guest is still going to be a guest on our show, but in October. We are very excited to have Jasper Amplification in October. They are moving facilities, and anyone who's ever put together a shop, wink, wink, understands that sometimes you gotta put everything aside so that you can put your shop together so that you can actually do business and make the money.
Yeah, so while they are moving forward with that, we've rescheduled them out for later on in the year. We're still going to have the conversation, talk about Jasper Amplifications and what they're doing down in Texas.
Yeah, absolutely.
But speaking of shops, we thought maybe today was a good day to talk shop because Matt has been building a shop downstairs, directly down below us in this building.
It's interesting running kind of a home-based business. I mean, I don't necessarily always think of Backstage, this podcast, as a business, but it's part of my business, which is guitar repair, guitar customization, lessons, the digital content, and everything. And I'd sort of been sharing space, like this space that you can't see right now, but you've probably seen me post pictures, isn't the biggest. And I've got all this digital stuff in front of me and this tabletop here that sometimes we use to do like demonstrations, but there's just not, it's too much. Like you got this digital work, and then you've got, if you want to start building guitars and working on guitars like full time, you gotta have a dedicated space.
Right.
And so one day I don't remember what I was doing, but it dawned on me that I forgot that we had this crazy big like half crawl space. The house is built on a hill, right? So there's this crawl space, and then there's this usable space, but it was never finished. So I decided to make it a shop, and holy hell, has it come together.
It definitely has. I remember when you guys moved into this place, I was like, dude, you got to turn that into like a rec room or something. Yeah. Now it's going to be a workshop so that he can do some luthier work, building some guitars.
We've been, I've built a bunch of guitars for me, and then it finally dawned on me that I was going to start like putting them out and selling them, because people have asked me, like, can you build me one? Like, well, yeah, but there's no space to do it, and now there is.
So you're actually going to be expanding into like basically a full custom build shop.
Yeah. No, it's going to be really nice because like there won't be any sawdust in the mixer for our show. There won't be sawdust in my family's food on the dinner table. I won't have to say that it's just a special kind of salt.
No, that's not cardboard. It's just sawdust.
No.
It's okay.
But yeah, so now it's freaking dope. So I just finished. Yeah, all the painting I finished it today. So tomorrow I move all my tools from this room and from my garage into my shop, and then we go, which is really awesome. And I have to give a big shout out to like all the customers that have had to wait. I've had to like kind of take a 3-week to 4-week hiatus as I just fast track this whole thing. So
they've been busting through it down there.
Yeah.
I've not been a part of the build myself. I've been a little busy with other
things. Well, you came and checked it out because
but
it's the coolest room in the house today.
Yeah, it's. I kind of wish we were doing the show from there today.
Yeah, we might have
It's very
to.
Nice and cool, but
yeah,
it's kind of hard to move the whole setup down there for the show. But again, as we try to point out every couple of weeks when we do our show, this is a community-based show. We'd love to have your comments, questions. And we'll talk about it. Tonight's the perfect night for it. So you got any questions for us? You want to talk to us about anything in particular? Shoot us a message. We'll answer you as soon as we get that on our end.
Yeah, no super big agenda today. Just kind of talking shop, talking music.
Yeah.
What's been on your mind this week?
Oh well, I mean, I'm on vacation from my day job, this week, which has been kind of nice. And as such, I got to spend the day, or at least part of the day, in Port Orchard yesterday. So I went up to visit Tony,
Yeah.
Tony Reed, who was on our last episode. It's a great interview. We went over almost an hour over our normal 45 minutes to an hour length.
Yeah.
Because he had so many great stories to tell, and he's going to be back on. He's excited to talk gear, to talk about studio, to talk about engineering, to talk more in depth about different projects he's doing and involved in. So he's totally interested to come back. We're going to have him back multiple times. He's got lots of stuff to talk about. Did take a little mini tour of the studio, which of course I've been there before. I have worked with him. He mixed and mastered the Gunslinger record.
That's right.
7 years ago. So it's not like I haven't been there, but for you guys, and especially for those of you that will subscribe to our Patreon, you'll be able to see a short little tour of his studio. And it's a pretty cool little... It's kind of like a carriage house that he's got at his place. Cool. So it's a small little apartment that he's turned into his studio. You'll recognize the wall of amps. That was his background.
Did he let you take one home?
No, he did not let me take one home.
I think somebody let you take home an amplifier.
Somebody did let me take home an amplifier.
And you should tell people about that.
It's
about your playing through it.
I've played through it a couple of times, and I have not broken it yet. Okay. It is 15 watts of pure power.
That's not a sentence you think you could say that often.
Well, I mean, I used to say that about my Mini Marshall stack. It's a 12-watt Mini Marshall, 12 watts of pure power, and it's nothing compared to this 15-watt PRS that you... Not POS, it's a PRS.
It's a PRS.
Paul Reed Smith.
It's the thing about wattage. You know, people have got this thing twisted in their head that wattage somehow equals... like how loud it's going to be.
You got to have a 50-watt, at minimum a 50-watt Marshall... right, to turn up to 11.
Ultimately, when it comes down to power ratings and amplifiers, you know, you can talk tech all day long. You can talk solid state versus tube all day long, but it really comes down to is it getting the job done. And
that's right.
You know, if Mark Tremonti partners with Paul Reed Smith to license an amp under his name, you know, Mark Tremonti of Mark Tremonti and of Alter Bridge and formerly of a band that we just shall not be named.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a wicked amp. Yeah, but
yeah, no, it's and you know, I normally play with a couple pedals. I got a lead pedal. I got a distortion pedal. Don't need them. Just need my tuning pedal to make sure I'm in tune. So it's...
You need a pedal for that? I do too.
I do. I don't.
Ever since I put a hole in my eardrum, it really pisses me off. Like, I used to be able to I had that perfect pitch, I could feel it, and now it just throws me off all the time. Like, I've got a good ear over here, and I've got as much of a good ear over here as I can have, but sometimes it's just not in tune, and I can't tell.
I mean, I could tune to somebody else.
Yeah.
Right? But I prefer to be able to tune it on the fly and not have to, like, hey, give me an A. Hey, give me an E.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have a tuning pedal.
I have a tuning pedal there.
Yep.
Everything should have a tuner on it.
Everything should have a tuner. You should always be in tune.
I have a tuner on my toaster just to make sure that, you know,
the toast is tuned
just
right.
The bread doesn't go flat.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or sharp, depending on which way you're going.
One of the things that is going to be coming out of this new shop, in addition to customers' guitars that are getting repaired, I started this idea with the initial idea was I'm going to build guitars. I'm not a stranger to that, and I had built for myself, and I got to this point where for me I recognized that when I have walls of guitars and I reach for the ones that I build, that means that there's legitimacy there.
Mm-hmm.
And then when people ask me, will you build me a guitar? And I say, okay, well, why am I not? Right. Why am I not? And also, ultimately, I think the answer was space and time. And now that I have this time, I can literally throw myself into 100% of what I want to do. So as I started toying with this idea of building guitars for people, I could also see my oldest daughter, and being respectful of, like, you know, her story, I could just see that she needed an outlet. And so this was an opportunity for me to say, hey, I'm not trying to push you down this road, but this is what I'm going to do. Would you like to do this with me?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And maybe not necessarily from the building and the wiring and choosing of hardware and whatnot, but she'll pick up information, but more from like the artistic standpoint. Help me design this.
So there'll be at least an involvement. There's
Yeah.
a little more skin in the game than just picking up the guitar after it's built.
Yeah.
Saying, "Oh, my dad built this for me."
And then, so I've got a project that I'm starting, and in parallel, I'm going to be starting a guitar with her.
Cool.
Right next to that. And then that kicked off another idea that I wanted to partner with somebody else in town, a very specific person who I will not name today because it's deserving of a much more formal and exciting feature.
Yeah, and that's going to be
in about 2
that's
months.
going to be fun.
But there are going to be big things coming out of this little tiny, 16 times 12? Somebody do 16 times 12 and put it in the comments, but that's the square footage, right?
It's a 16 by 12.
And then man, I woke up out of a sleep last night, like with the epiphany of like the next like guitar project number 4 that I want to do that I've never seen done before, and that's what I'm gonna do. And I told my brother-in-law about it today while we were working a side job, and he's like, "Yeah." And I came home and I told my wife about it. She's like, "Yes."
We had a short
we had a
discussion
similar
about
conversation. So
it's. I gotta say, I mean, I'm not gonna spill the beans on it, but it sounds like it's a very innovative idea, and I want to see it work.
So yeah, I'm super stoked to be cranking that stuff out. I'm excited to be able to do more than just spout enigmatic nonsense about it. I'm like, put room right here, and
play it.
Yeah. So that's coming down the pike, and
Yeah.
What else?
Well, we've got a lot of guests coming up. Some future shows. We'll talk about that a little bit later on too. But we're really excited to have the guests that we're going to have. And of course, when we started the show, it wasn't our intent to be doing interviews and live performances every episode. And as soon as we started getting bands and builders on, it's kind of been like it's hard to say no. It's really cool, and we're really excited to keep pushing forward with the show, keep doing the content that hopefully is bringing value not only to you but the guests that we're having on the show. So, keep checking out when you see them on our show. Go check out their Instagram, check out their Facebooks, Wood Spirit Guitars.
We had John of Wood Spirit Guitars in here, and I think we name dropped him again. Which way do I need to turn this? This way. Sorry, Brian. Because he was in here and he dropped this guy off and he said, play this a bunch and make videos and just let me know what you think. Total surprise.
Yeah.
I just...
You're telling me.
Yeah.
Matt actually held out when he got that, when John dropped that off. He held out and waited until I came by for the last episode to show me.
Do you have the spec sheet? Can you grab that?
I do.
Yeah, so this is a really cool guitar. I guess one of the reasons I want to mention that is because I told John I'd try to sell it too. So if you're a guitar player and you're interested, this is not a sales pitch, but I do have this in my possession and you're welcome to come to the shop and try it out. But the thing that's really interesting about this guitar is that it's got these Duncan P-Rail triple shot rings in this guitar, and me as a guy that I've been playing for 26 years, and I probably shouldn't admit this, but I'd never heard of this product before.
Right, and they're a Seymour Duncan humbucker product.
Yeah, it's got this. So if you're a guitar player, you're familiar with coil tapping, coil splitting. Watch my video on the difference between the two. But for all intents and purposes, being able to shut off one coil on a humbucker to get a single coil type thing. And that's usually controlled by a switch or a push-pull pot on a guitar. But these guys, they have... So this is wired like a Les Paul. It's got the traditional Les Paul wiring. So volume, volume, tone, tone. No push-pulls. And the ring of each humbucker has a switch on each coil. So you can run them as each pickup you can run as a series, a humbucker wired in series, a humbucker in parallel, or the right side or the left side
Yeah.
on individually. So that's and between two pickups, right? So I mean, do the math. What is that?
It really gives you, I think it's like
yeah.
9 options or something
Yeah.
like that.
So you can get it to
it's really
sound like a
interesting.
humbucker, or you can get it to sound like a single coil on either side, or you can get it to sound like a P90, which is mind blowing. And I would play. This is a guitar that I would absolutely love to have in the studio. I've been putting a lot of time into it, and I really can't figure out what tone I like best.
Yeah.
It's like, do you want to play country or metal or all? I guess alt rock isn't really alt rock anymore, or it's a different kind of rock.
It's just rock
But
and
there
roll, yeah.
isn't a tone that this guitar can't make.
No, for sure.
Anyway, it's only what comes in at 6.59 pounds. That's
It's light. It's super
Yeah.
light. It's a partial hollow, which is of course what John
Yeah.
does.
yeah.
It's definitely, I think, a studio rather than maybe a live
Yeah.
because of those pickups.
So and yeah, it's a semi hollow. It's solid all the way through with 2 chambers on either side. It's a double F hole single cut.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. One of the most beautiful things about this guitar is this laminate
Look
neck.
at those the laminate neck. He does
Yeah.
this. He did this on the prototype that you have as well.
Yeah.
He does that
That's
on
upstairs,
most of his
otherwise I'd show
guitars.
it, yeah.
I don't think he's done it on every guitar, but his woodworking is fantastic. So
I can't tell you how much it scares me to even have this thing with me. Like, I pick this
knowing
up,
that it's not yours,
I pick it up,
Yeah.
I round the corner, I show it to the camera, and I put it back. And,
It's like, okay.
yeah.
And
So
for
that's on. It's got a tag at 2,000, and I mean, I don't know. Like, you're gonna have to come play it.
play it.
I've
Come check it out.
I've paid less than that for guitars. I've paid more than that for guitars, and all I can say is this is definitely a guitar that I would pay more than.
Well, the way I look at it is it's
Yeah.
kind of that Les Paul style.
Yeah.
What's a brand new Les Paul with pearl inlay? You're probably looking at least 2,500 for the cheap end.
Yeah.
So, just something to consider. For those of you that are joining since we started, welcome.
Iron Billy Band.
Iron Billy
He's
Band.
in North Dakota, I believe. Good to
Nice.
see you, sir.
Good to see you. Don't forget, go ahead and make comments, questions. Let us know if there's anything you want to talk about. We're kind of chill tonight. We don't really have an agenda.
Yeah. We
so-
were, for those just tuning in, we were all prepped for a big interview tonight, and it circumstances arose, and it couldn't be helped. We needed to push it out, so we're just taking an evening to not die in the heat. And no one's no, I don't know. I'm not complaining. As a person who lives in the Pacific Northwest who likes the heat, I'm not complaining about this.
Right.
I've just been working it all day too, so I'm kind of like, I'm not. It's not asleep. It's just. I don't know.
It
I kind
slows
of
you
feel
down a
like
bit, but-
heat stoned, I guess.
Yeah.
But,
I don't know.
so we're just taking a. We're
I
not
gotta
chilling.
say, yesterday, when I was going up to Port Orchard,
Yeah.
I just had the realization of how beautiful it is around here. I mean, it's
Yep.
so nice right now. It's yes, it's hot, but it's beautiful weather, and I mean, the Pacific Northwest, you can't beat it. This is like paradise up here right now, except for the excessive heat.
Which is, it's just weird because, I don't like to consider myself entitled, except when it comes to the weather, because I'm one of those guys that really struggles with most of the year here in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
And I feel like for like 9 months out of the year, I'm paying for what I am then entitled to between June and whatever it is,
This is
July.
my
and
time,
whatever.
damn it.
This is my time. You better be warm. And it's been a cold summer.
Yeah, except for those couple of hot streaks. that
Yeah,
we've had.
and we just happen to be right in the middle of
We're
one.
right in the middle one right
So,
now. So.
Hanging out with the kids at the splash pad has been something that I've been enjoying. This new system that I've worked out when I went full-time guitar basically allows me to have 3 days during the week where I go 100% all day long. I'm always working in the evening. I'm always working early in the morning. Sometimes working in the middle of the night because I don't sleep. But then there's 3 days where I'm working. And then Mondays and Fridays I have basically given to my children, which is It's freaking amazing.
It's awesome.
It's
You
fantastic.
get a little bit of this freedom with the change of careers, eh?
Yeah, well, it feels more like empowerment than it does. I mean, I guess it's freedom.
Yeah.
But it comes with more than just a feeling of freeness. It comes with a feeling of power and strength,
Right.
knowing that like this is right now. This is my job. Right now, my job is to be a dad, and it doesn't. I'm investing in our relationship.
That's awesome.
And
That's
and I don't have to feel guilt about it. I don't have to worry about like, is my email box filling up with things that may or may not be important.
Right. Right.
I'll get emails from people saying, hey, can you look at this guitar? And I'll wait till after dinner on those days and I'll hit them back, and then we'll talk the other days of the week, and it just works.
Nice.
And I've worked for so long for organizations that talk about work-life balance, but it never really feels like balance. It feels like you're just like doing the polka across a really rusty seesaw.
Right.
And the first time it actually feels like balance,
That's awesome.
So it's good stuff.
Well, it gives you the opportunity too. You're still able to make, like Tony says, make music every day, right?
Make music every day.
I noticed you posted up a video yesterday, even while you were taking care of the kids in the morning, and like
They were
going onto the
involved
deck
with
and-
what they were doing, and I
Yeah.
was playing tunes, so they were not offended.
Yeah.
They're
So
like-
that it all kind of ties together. It works. It's
Mir-
great.
My middle child says, you're not angry at the computer. It's not really work. I'm like, fair point. Fair point.
That's a very good
As she would
way
say,
to look at it.
no more stupid meetings. I'm like, well, yeah. Some of them were important, but
Not all of them.
I didn't say all.
Trust me, I know. I've been there.
It's been an interesting sort of like game to realize that there are elements of this business that I never really thought would be part of the business. Instead of just building and creating and fixing and teaching, there's this other component like managing an inventory of an apparel line, or
Right.
figuring out the algorithms and whatnot of social media, like when to post, what to post, how long to post, in what way do you post it? Is it a post? Is it a post? Is it a reel? Is it a story? Is this TikTok worthy? Is it Instagram worthy? Is it Facebook worthy? And really start experimenting with that shit to figure out what gives you the biggest reach. And I'm sorry, I'm like, for whatever reason, I'm making more eye contact with Brian today than with the camera, but glad you're here.
It's because we're talking.
But that's weird because I'm putting way more than that, like 5%
Right.
duties as other
The
duties
other
as
duties
defined.
as defined.
Like I didn't think so much of it is how do you break the system so that you can get what you want other people to see to your audience, so that you can deliver value to them. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Wild.
It blows my mind. I thought I was, somewhat technologically savvy when we started doing this. I'm like, I can't figure out Instagram. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah.
So if you're my friend on Instagram and you're watching this show, you've probably have not followed through me at all. It's directly through Endorian, because I don't know how to get everything to work exactly right. We'll get there. But I feel dumb now. I feel like the dumb old guy because this technology is like too much.
Guess what? We are the old guys now, but
It's true.
we're just teaching old dogs new tricks.
It's funny
so,
too, because
yeah.
that was one of the things we talked about on our last show with Tony a little bit, like this internet and the social media and the technology, like how that works these days. It's just we're old school. We're not practicing over the internet. We're not necessarily doing a bunch of demos and sending them off or whatever. We're finding time to get together and do it that way. So that's kind of pretty cool.
Iron Billy's got a really good question that I had to think about for a second. Does the neck fall to the floor on the semi-hollow? That's what I dislike in the Gretches. That's a really good question. I actually haven't put a strap on it yet, and to find out. So Brian, I'm gonna go find a strap. You
All
talk.
right.
I'm gonna figure it out.
We're gonna
That's a good question.
while Matt's strapping up and trying
Well,
to figure that
strapping
out.
up.
Strap it up. Um, yeah, what was I even talking? I don't even remember what I was talking about now.
Instagram and learning how to
The
do all
feeling
nonsense.
feeling inadequate when it comes to social media.
Yeah.
I'm back to the learning stage again too. So we're working all that out. Matt, I'm lucky to say, is very much more involved on that end and much
Too
more
involved.
knowledgeable than I am. But I'm learning, and someday I'll have everything figured out. Probably far too late.
I want to show everybody my
So
legs, but no, this.
how does it look?
Woo, it just
It just hangs normal. It's about to hit me in the face.
good balance. Good balance.
Iron Billy, it looks like it has good balance.
Yep.
2 thumbs,
Two
way
thumb-
up.
2 necks up.
2 necks up. Not on the floor.
2 thumbs and 1 neck up. Man, that
I mean, it
is-
really is a fantastic guitar. I think all the guitars that we've seen from Wood Spirit have been phenomenal, and he does have some larger semi-hollows, more like that Gretsch size and style as well. But he has that. It's the LP Junior
Yeah.
size and shape for a lot
I'm
of
putting
his
it on
stuff.
the wall right now because I'm worried about it being right here.
He's also got the other body styles that are more like
Yeah, the
the
one that I've
prototype.
got's like I would say it's like 80% Rickenbacker, 15%
Yeah.
Fender, 5% Gibson.
it's a really interesting mashup, and he does
Yeah.
does an interesting thing. If you haven't seen the episode with John that we did a few weeks back, he's got a wiring setup with those that's really interesting. You take the whole kind of
Oh yeah,
board out.
the way
Yeah.
the electronics plate and then with the air channel underneath
Exactly.
it. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, and I got to the first thing I do when I get a guitar, not the first thing, but like the second or third thing I do when I get a guitar,
First thing,
is like
shred. That's
take it apart. And full disclosure, the Wood Spirit guitar that I bought from John at the Tacoma Guitar and Drum show at the Tacoma Dome.
Yes.
I used to put on a trade show at the Greater Tacoma Convention and
Center.
Trade Center, so I always get that mixed up. But there was a glitch in it, and I knew it wasn't the guitar, and he actually didn't want to sell it to me. He was apprehensive to sell it to me off the floor because he was like, "There's an issue with this," but he knew that I repair guitars, so he wasn't concerned about it. And so I took the panel off to take a look at it, and then I found what the culprit was, and it was just a badly manufactured switch. It had nothing to do with John or anything. And I took the switch out, and I replaced the switch, and then I took pictures of the switch, and I sent them to John. I said, from one perfectionist to another, I wanted you to know this was not your fault.
To which,
And,
of course, he was very grateful.
Oh yeah. No, he was like, no, I didn't think it was, but I can sleep better now, knowing. And I'm like, yeah, well. But the point is, when I took that panel off, just looking at the extra steps that he had taken to make those little modifications work, not just as a one-off, but something that he could actually produce
Yeah, something
and
recreatable.
replicate. Yeah. With metal. Here I am failing my vocabulary, but nothing is actually screwed into the wood. It's actually got metal receivers on pressed into the opposite side of the wood so that the machine screws can mount flat, and he's got little plastic grommets that hold everything together, and it's top notch. And it was a prototype.
Right. So yeah, he has since improved upon the model.
Yeah.
Iron Billy did also have an idea that thinks we should make a weight and add it to the hollows and basses too. Interesting idea.
That is an interesting idea. I mean, I think that some people might be able to hear how it affects tone, but I think a lot of people would also just prefer that some guitarists don't do the thing that he's talking about. Like my 6-string Ibanez, my BTB that I played in Gunslinger, I can't let go of that thing. Like,
Right.
I almost need to like wrap a cord around my neck and attach it to the strap so that If I let go of that thing, it's boom right down to the ground. Yeah.
Well, and I've had that happen with other guitars too, but typically that's when the strap receiver pulls out of the guitar itself, and then it fucking. But
yeah, sometimes it is just.
Sometimes
maybe you just don't need 6 strings on a bass, but I'll never be the person to say that. I like having a 6-string bass, and I don't.
Well, it's because you're a guitar player. You need 6 strings.
But I don't play the bass like a guitar. I at least know how to.
Although, when you joined Gunslinger as our bass player, you added on multiple songs that were previously recorded. You took your own spin on it, like Lady Jane. You added basically a lead bass line to it, instead of just the normal bass line that was on it. So, I mean, yeah, you don't play the bass like a guitar, but you also don't play it like a typical bass player.
I always laugh at that example too, because I laugh because it's funny for me, but it's also a good teaching moment. Or that's an example of how one style can unintentionally influence another style, because I wrote that bass line the way that I thought that Ty Zamora, formerly of Alien Ant Farm, would write an Alien Ant Farm bass line. Because Ty Zamora is... Man, I really hope we can have him on this show. And he seems chill enough to do it.
You bought shit from him when we were in college. I remember that, directly.
But he is a phenomenal bass player and absolutely uses that instrument to tie parts together. And I didn't think that necessarily needed to be exclusive to that genre. And I introduced it into Gunslinger, and I tested it. I didn't tell you this is what I was doing.
No.
I wanted you to tell me if it sucked or not.
No, we loved it. We loved it. So. Absolutely loved it. In fact, kind of wanted to re-record it just to have that version on tape. Yeah. Not that we wanted to replace the old version, because to me every recording is a snapshot in time.
Yeah.
And the original recording was with my brother playing bass,
right,
who subsequently he was the original bass player, and then he was out of the band, he was back in the band. And then he decided to kind of retire at that particular time.
Like a Tom Brady retirement? Or
kinda. He came back with another band, and now his other band is coming back hopefully soon. So the Ox, he wasn't a bass player. He was a bass guitar player.
Yeah.
So I mean that's the thing. If you can, it's one of the reasons why I think come back with that second record. We're gonna do 3 guitars, because then we'll have you on guitar, myself on rhythm, Jim playing that second lead, and doing double and triple leads instead of just the double leads that Jim and I were able to do.
Fun.
We're gonna bring in another friend of ours to play bass, and hopefully Simon will be able to come back on drums, and we'll kind of do that Iron Maiden thing, right? You get 3 guitars. It'll be really thick. And
we should do something on the show where we try to get someone can have a chance to win a walk-on role, onto the Gunslinger album.
That'd be fun. We do
a walk-on role, like it's Star
Trek.
Well,
the first
shut up, Wesley.
The first record, we did have some friends come to the studio and do the Ghost Brigade was one of the tracks, and so that was kind of the group name for all of the backing vocals was the Ghost Brigade. So we had some buddies doing that. We could definitely do that. I'm sure Jim would be totally on board to open it up and have people to be our Ghost Brigade for the next album, for some shout choruses and harmonies.
Or we do we do an Endorian Guitar Works backstage, black box or something. Like we actually have
that would be cool.
Like a
win a chance to see
a podcast centered guest band.
Yeah, and have so many folks that join, get drawn out of a hat, and pick 10, 20 people, come see it live, and the rest is gonna have to watch it live.
We hop in a truck, Instagram. We drive out to North Dakota, we jam with Iron Billy and his band, and we record it.
I'm down.
Yeah, what do you think?
With that. Bring 20 of our closest friends.
Bring 20 of our closest friends.
Of our closest Instagram friends.
Exactly. Oh, shit.
That would be fun. That would be a lot of fun. Um, yeah, there's some really good shows coming up around town too. Down in Olympia, I know the Super
Yeah.
Suckers with Speed Dealer and the Stuntmen are going to be playing down at the Capitol Theater for free
Mm-hmm.
on the 6th, and then they're playing, I believe, indoors at the Capitol Theater that evening as well.
Mark Pickerel and the Dusty 45s and a bunch of other bands are playing. I've lost the post. It's either April 3rd or August 3rd or August 6th up on Airport Way.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think I remember seeing something about
Mark
that
Pickerel,
as well.
formerly
Mark Pickerel,
of Screaming Trees.
Rodeo Records,
Rodeo City Records. Yeah.
Ellensburg.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
Yeah, I actually I had a chance to work with and put on some shows with and hang out with a couple of the other guys from Screaming Trees as well back in the day. They were in a band called Valis,
Mm-hmm.
the brothers. They dude, we've had a lot of good times. I'll
Mhm.
tell you, it's been a lot of fun working in the music scene here in Olympia. And Iron Billy would be down if we did go out to Dakota,
yeah.
so we should do that. It's been 15, 20 years since I've been out that far
Yeah.
east, so I'd be totally stoked.
I should actually be rolling through North Dakota right about next week, but we put that trip on hold.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, I like it heading out that way, which is not the subject of music, but I really like driving through those states.
It is if you're gonna go jam with
If
Iron
you are-
Billy.
yeah, I know.
That's
Okay,
music.
Okay, it's
Come
true.
on.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, what is the music scene like out there for rock and roll?
I mean, it's got to be. It can't be that bad. I mean, I know when I was younger, went to Montana and caught a punk rock show at the county fairgrounds
Okay.
in Billings, I think.
And it's hot here too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you posted something on. We were chatting the other day. He asked, it's obviously it's hot here, which is why I can't string thoughts together.
I think it's
But
hot everywhere right now.
Yeah, it is. But he mentioned that he was gonna be running like 5 miles in 30 minutes in 90-degree heat or something, and I just. Well, we'll see if he survives tomorrow.
Well, I mean, obviously, he's alive.
You're here now. So
Or someone is anyway.
Yeah,
But, I mean, I'm glad for that.
that's not what I don't do that.
I think he might be a little crazy.
Nah,
Just saying.
I think he's conditioned. He's conditioned.
Is that
Air
mutually
conditioned.
exclusive
I don't
or no? Well, I mean, if running is your thing, country's probably better, but
Yeah,
but
the music scene. We got a
Yeah.
delay, so I think that's about our
yeah,
question. Yeah.
yeah, I can understand that. I mean, you're up in the Dakotas, it's country scene, but I mean, there's got to be rock and roll.
Have you ever
there.
dabbled in country? Like for any reason
I mean,
at all?
I've sang some Johnny Cash at
Right.
like karaoke nights and
Right.
things, but really, other than really enjoying Hank.
He
the
just did
Third,
9. He just did 9 miles right before this.
Jesus, good on you, bro.
Good
Because
on
I
you, yeah.
couldn't. I'd be dying.
Sweating out the toxins.
I would literally. I'd have a heart attack or something. I wouldn't be able to be breathing. It would just not be good.
It wouldn't be the guitar neck hitting the ground.
I have sung some country.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine and we got together with some of his family and friends to do his wife's 40th birthday, and they're into country. So we did like Friends in Low Places, and
Yeah.
we did Tennessee Whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good ass fucking song. I mean,
Didn't you do that one karaoke when we
Yeah,
all
'cause-
at Halloween up at Characters Corner?
Yeah, so that was kind of a warm up for me to actually do it in front of a crowd, because I'd done it in front of the group,
Yeah.
but I hadn't done it in front of a crowd yet,
Yeah.
and it went over pretty well.
Yeah,
So
it did. It did. No, I think that all the characters at the corner. Well, we'll leave that alone. Characters Corner, if you're not familiar with the Olympia area, is a little dive off the Steamboat Island exit, which is a pretty great place. But every Halloween They did a karaoke thing for Halloween, not every Halloween, but this Halloween happened to coincide with karaoke, and I showed up with a David Pumpkins coat and like green troll hair.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, Cash and Waylon Jennings.
Yeah. Real country.
That's the way I go to. I don't. The pop country today is.
Yeah.
That being said, Tennessee Whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
I'm off the top of my head forgetting the name of the singer of that. But that dude has soul. I mean, you don't find that a whole lot in pop country these days. It seems like everybody's kind of going that route of that country rock. And I'm not talking about like southern rock from the 70s, but like trying to be rock and roll but still keeping the twang.
Yeah.
Like, that's not my thing. If you like it, that's cool, but it's not my thing. I want like the story. I want the true country like shit. That's why I like Hank 3, because he's more like his grandfather than his father was. And yes, Billy, real country.
They have the country and the western.
Yeah, exactly. That's the two kinds of music my dad listens to, funny enough.
Country and western.
I agree with Hank 3 when he says he's there to put the dick in Dixie and the cunt back in country. Rebel outlaw country.
Tape delay.
Yeah, and the shooter goes over good too. Yes, sir. And there is some of the female, even fucking Dolly Parton, dude. You gotta give her credit. I've never really been much of a fan of female vocalists, but the older I get, the more I appreciate a female vocalist. And the countryside, the older gals fucking knew where it was, man. They knew where it was at. So
no, the only reason I ask, our meandering conversation reminded me of like the days where I was backing up bass in a couple different, really the kind of country that you're talking about, like progressive rock country. I don't even know how you label it, but yeah, and I can't say that it's the music that like really like scratches the itch of my soul or whatever, but it was still a really good time playing live at those kind of like it was a different purpose. You weren't out there dumping your insides, you're backing up a singer effectively is your purpose when you're playing in a band like that. And then you enjoy it just because, hell, man, at the end of the day, you're getting paid to play music. So it can be worse. But, man, when you play those shows, like they used to play certain hits, and, like, I've had more fun. And that's really what I mean. I don't mean, like, the best time. I mean, like, fun. Just fun. Just like, you're on the playground,
enjoyment.
Right?
Yeah.
Playing those shows. Because it's like no one has any inhibitions. I've watched like the biggest dude I've ever seen in my life wearing cowboy boots and managing to like dance in cowboy boots the way like Brian Boitano would flip around on skates, and
what would Brian Boitano do?
And I remember screwing up. I remember like actually fucking up on stage because I was thrown off by how he could move like that on the dance floor.
Dude, yeah.
Good times.
That's the thing, man. It's a performance, and when you can get into that space where you're performing, and it doesn't really matter what you're performing. You can put on that mask, you can turn yourself into whatever you need to be, and have a good time and interact with the crowd. And that's what it's all about when it comes down to that. So, yes, I may not be that into country, but I can perform some country. I can perform the shit out of some country if I need to.
Yeah.
And I know you have.
It doesn't need to be a show about country. It just kind of hit me,
No.
Playing with Gunslinger and Northwater and Alakai and Star 69 and 40 Ounce Fuse. How many different bands have I been in? 40 Ounce Fuse. That was the name. That was the name that it should have been like forever. But, man.
That was when we're doing theater.
I can't. That was 40 Ounce Fuse Part 2. I remain like the original Ellensburg 40 Ounce Fuse that never really went that far. Yeah, I'm excited to get out and start playing shows again.
Yeah, I mean,
because that's really what this is all about, right? We can sit here in our basements and talk about music out to the interwebs, and
that's the thing. We want to get out there, and interact, put it out there, perform.
Well, so many of us got used to having to stop. Like our only outlet was putting it out on Instagram or Facebook to play music because that's what we were forced to do for a little bit of time. And it does feel like a constant, like we have to remind ourselves, no, just go back out. It's still out there again. Yeah. So if you're struggling with that, you're not the only one.
Yeah. I mean, we're still, like I said, with Gunslinger, we're trying to get back together after 6 years.
What's in the glass? Just ginger ale, my friend. It's freaking hot, and I'm trying to
just
stay
ginger
cold.
Ale.
It's mostly ginger ale
at this point. Like with Gunslinger, we've had kind of a hiatus. Some might have said that we broke up. We actually have half of our second
It was mutual,
record.
though.
It was kind of mutual. We have half of a second record written. We just need to finish writing the rest of the album and actually do some recording. So hopefully that happens. I've got some other projects myself that are in here that I'd like to get down on paper.
Iron Billy, we've switched to Fresca. We are now Fresca-ing. And Jesus, this is
peach Fresca.
Sweating its ass off here. It is so hot in this room.
It is, the fan that you probably hear in the background is helping a little bit. But Matt and I have talked about doing some projects together. I've got something in the brain pan that I think he and I can do pretty well. So hopefully that can see the light of day before too terribly long too. Just more of a straight up rock and roll type of thing, maybe a little bluesy rock, something you could dance to. Like my favorite bands are like the Helicopters, which is a band from Sweden that just fucking rocks. It's Hella, like Hella copters.
Well, everyone knows at least one of their tunes because didn't somebody nab it for
it was
Guitar Hero?
It was in Guitar Hero, a song called I'm in the Band.
I'm in the band.
And it's a good song, and it's nowhere near their best.
Right.
But like that kind of just like get you out of your seat and rocking and rolling, like hits me in the heart, So I'm hoping to do that as well as the heavy metal stuff that we're doing with Gunslinger. At some point, maybe more of like an artsy, stonery band or something. My brother and I have been interested in doing stuff like that for a while.
Yeah.
So there's ideas floating around, but nothing's quite yet solidified and taking off. But getting back in, like I haven't played, like really played for quite a while. So I'm just trying to get myself back into shape.
Yeah. I went out there and started thinking about the track that I'm supposed to put a solo down over, which I want to not talk much about because it's not my project. But one of my buddies I wanted to say he was in Nashville. He's not in Nashville anymore. He's in Fort Wayne. But he sent me scratch tracks for a piece that he wants me to put down, a guitar solo, and it is such a wild rock tune.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's can't wait to be able to share that with you and share anything about it with you. But it's not the norm. It's not.
No, not at all.
It's got a twist to it, which I just went out there and thought about it and got lost.
That'd be another guest that we could have on.
Yeah,
for sure. He's had some experiences.
Maybe we can put some pressure on him to actually fly out and sit with us.
Yeah, that'd be kind of fun. Yeah. Play a little on the couch together or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I got him to fly out here to be the best man at my wedding. So
that is true.
Like, if I can't get him out here for backstage, I'll have to just make up some excuse.
We're renewing our vows.
Get back out here.
Yeah, I did perform the wedding, so I guess that's legit. We can make that.
That's true.
Thing.
That's true. My father-in-law still refers to you as the Reverend.
That's nice. Every time he sees me now, he doesn't seem to remember who I am. So
Brian's doing this. Who? The Rev. Oh, I like him. Yes.
We did share a cigar in the park, so
it's true. It's true. Well, right on. So the next shows.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of good shows coming up, guys. It's 8:20 now. We're kind of coming up against it.
I'm dying. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm ready to I'm gonna miss you for 2 weeks, but I'm ready to go stick my head in the freezer.
Yeah, it's a little toasty. It's a little toasty.
So August 9th, we have
The Dead Hollows.
yeah.
A couple buddies of mine from here in town. That should be a fun show. I'm going to find out what they're up to and learn a little bit about their histories.
Cool. A week later, so we do our show every 2, but on August 16th, Endorian Guitar Works Backstage will be guest on Tuesdays with Toya. I've tried to promote her show as much as I can, but if you go on Instagram, you're on Instagram. If you search for Fregoso Writes Music, that is Victoria Fregoso. She is an independent artist and hosts a very similar style podcast, but not necessarily tailored to guitars, but any singing and songwriting. But she's going to have us on her show on the 16th. Super excited about that.
And then we're going to end up having her on our show.
Yeah, on September 20th.
Yeah.
So there's a big gap there between the 16th of August and the 20th of September, and you got to kind of give space in the summertime because people have plans and whatnot. So we're going to fill that. We might take some other guests in that span of time, but we are probably just going to find cool things to show you, like more guitar teardowns and technical stuff.
Yeah.
But then moving into October, and I can't even believe we're talking about October.
I know, right?
But October 4th, we have the Olympia Guitar Company, who is a really cool guy that, did I tell you that I worked with him?
A little bit.
Yeah, like in my former life, I didn't realize that we worked at the same organization. Big organization, just didn't know. And then about 2 or 3 days before the Tacoma Guitar and Drum Show, it's Olympia Guitar Company.
Yeah.
He found me and said, "Are you enduring it?" Yeah, we got to know each other, and so we're gonna have him on the show.
Yeah, it was kind of funny at the Tacoma Dome. We were sitting watching somebody do a performance, and dude comes up. You're mad, aren't you? From Endorian Guitar Works.
Mm-hmm.
Come check it out.
And so we ran back out to the floor, and he showed us these 2 custom Telecasters that he'd built, and they're pretty cool. Can you drop her? Yeah, I will give a shout when we post this episode after we go live. I will do that.
Yeah, we'll add her to the tags.
Yes. So August 4th, Olympia Guitar Company. And
October 4th.
Thank you.
Yes.
October 4th, Olympia Guitar Company. And then October 18th, we are bringing in Jasper Amplification.
Right, so that's the reschedule of tonight's
original
plan.
And what he is doing is he is basically... I don't want to use the word replicate because that's not true. But he's taking those vintage Marshall circuits of the 60s and 70s that you don't get in today's Marshalls and sort of paying homage to those and enhancing. That's what he's
upgrading, bringing them into the modern era.
Yeah. And I have only ever heard his amps through cell phone speaker captured at a trade show.
Right.
Still sounds amazing.
I've seen some of the posts on the Instagram and stuff like that. They sound like an awesome amp.
That's one of the reasons for the delay is because he's in Dallas. We don't want to record. We don't want to live stream a mic'd sound when we're featuring an amplifier company. We want to be able to record that in advance and stream it out to you in high quality. So we'll be interviewing him and then pushing the audio out to you rather than having to pick it up from a microphone.
Right.
We want to do as good of a job as we can. So that's why the delay, and he's still working on getting his shop up since he moved.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then beyond that, we've got some other exciting things coming down the pipe. So gotta stay tuned to find out more about that. But we're extremely stoked. We're pretty much getting booked out through the end of the year with guests and shows. So
let us know if there's anything that you want to see on the show.
Yeah, definitely. This is a community.
And I can't believe I'm talking about December, but let's talk about doing some big end of the year party.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Because that would be wild.
It'd be a lot of fun.
Maybe we could do like a big group Zoom.
That'd be interesting.
And like push that out. Yeah. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool,
that's
man.
what we've got going. That's the next 5 shows. If you're hot, drink water.
Drink lots of water. Stay hydrated. Go jump in the lake. Whatever.
And don't forget to fret less and rock more.
Fret less, rock more. Make music every day.
To pay Tony for that.
Yeah, I think we might have to. That's a great motto.
All right. See you in 2 weeks.
Rock on.